Hi Diamonds, here's a quick new update for 3 reasons. First of all, I like to elaborate a little bit more on some setups. Second, there's a potential new setup. And third, I also want to say that from now on, I will first look for setups myself before recording the video, because I notice if I start with a clean chart and look for fresh new setups while recording, there's a little bit of time pressure going on because you don't want the video to take too long as well. And I like to get to the point, which I can't be when I look for setups, and I might also miss critical information. So there's 3 setups. I will elaborate on them a little bit more and also talk about my favorite here. But the first one is this one. Now, in this particular scenario, we have this low to the high, right? There's waves. A tradable pivot can be one of 2 things. Either a wave structure to the downside, which we don't have clearly, right? It's a straight line to the downside, and market structure change. Now, when we think about market structure change and this move, of course, we broke the, let's say, market structure we have here towards the upside. So, arguably, it's a market structure change pivot. Unfortunately, it didn't take the low here because, of course, you want to look for a range and then a continuation and then break market structure. But in this final move to the upside, of course, now market structure is broken with this low. It's quite a wick, based on at least probabilities, CVD. Wicks tend to be less great for CVD divergences. But yeah, it is a market structure break pivot basically, and if price moves towards the downside, then a potential setup might in play. But keep an eye on the CVD divergences. It has to be blue over here on the blue line, because on yellow price moved up, but CVD on yellow did not move up. Actually, the high over here on the yellow line is lower than the pivot CVD, so it has to be a setup on blue. Currently, you do see blue is moving below this low over here after some bearish CVD on yellow. You can see here lower highs on price, but higher high on yellow locally. This has now played out. It's not necessarily the most favorite setup, but it is a setup nonetheless that we can keep an eye on. The second one over here is, thanks Jarvis, by the way, because I missed some stuff in the morning. We have a move to the upside. Multiple candles down, right? 2 or more, that's fine. Then we have candle number 1, candle number 2 towards the upside. So 2 candles up, moving down again, taking the low. So we got some waves over here where we got ourselves a low, and then we got waves to the upside as well. Now in this scenario, we are currently at the golden pocket, right? Candles have closed here, which is a valid scenario. So we got a pivot, which is based on waves towards the downside with a potential long setup, where this was your first candle that closed on top of the golden pocket. So your 1, 2, 3 is going to be 37,353 basically in this scenario, which is inside the target box as well. This is of course quite an interesting setup as it moves to the target box, which is interesting also from an Elliott Wave point of view, where the probabilities are a little bit geared now towards the downside. It can be interesting to hit that target box, no? And then the third setup, which might follow, is a short setup where we take this high, take the high, hit the resistance preferably, but then eventually create waves down, retracement, golden pocket, all of the other rules, look for a move towards the downside, stop loss of course above the high, which is definitely, I think, one of the interesting setups, mainly also because of the target box, right, that we have over here, which makes it very interesting as we have some additional resistance as well, but this one will take a while for sure. You can also see I got the alarms set. So for this setup number 3, for example, here, it will take at least 2 hours. If you take this high, will take at least a minimum of 2 hours for this setup to form. So I like to put the time in the alarm as well. And for the first setup over here, you want price to at least go a little bit deeper, hit the 05. Even though we got this wick here, something to pay attention to. Also lower time frame. Like preferably if we go this deep and price moves up and you actually start to see lower time frame bearish CVD, that wouldn't be great. But in this setup, I put the alarm on the 05 because once the 05 is hit, that's when I start to look, and then it is 15 minutes, because once the 05 is hit, you might only have 15 or less minutes before the golden pocket is hit. So I like to include time, because when I then get an alarm going off on my phone, I can see like, I have enough time, more than 2 hours or 2 hours before I have to be at the PC, or 15 minutes. So it decides what I do at the moment. So this is what I what I wanted to say. Yeah, have good trading, have a good trading day just before the weekend. Let's see what price is going to give us. Some setups always play out, some others of course will not play out. In the end, over 100 trades, as long as we're profitable, that's absolutely fine. And so far so good. Also on the alts, people have been absolutely killing it with the strategy. So we're going to wait and see what is going to happen on all of the different charts, and also on Bitcoin. So yeah, this is what I wanted to say, and I hope to see you soon again.